Have you ever pondered why your grandparents didn't have longer lifespans? Their Thanksgiving table may contain the solution. You won't believe the health hazards concealed in plain sight in this recreation of a typical holiday table from the 1970s. Here are 20 forgotten foods that disappeared for good cause, from marshmallow-topped yams to Jell-O salads that could withstand a nuclear winter. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now back to the video. Do you recall the 1970s marshmallow-topped dishes? Imagine your veggies covered in a sea of fluffy white marshmallows. It may seem odd now, but it was a must for vacations back then. First, let's talk about the infamous candied yams. These were sugar bombs disguised as a side dish, not just sweet potatoes. You might be surprised to learn that one serving of these marshmallow-covered yams contained more sugar than a can of Pepsi. And who, let's face it, ate Thanksgiving dinner with only one serving? The marshmallow craziness didn't stop there either. You won't believe it, but these fluffy white bits ended up on ham and fruit salads. Let's speak about numbers now. These marshmallow-topped treats may include as much as 50 grams of sugar per serving on average, all in one side dish, double the daily recommended amount. Just think of the sugar surge that one plate of Thanksgiving food might provide. After the feast, it's no surprise that we all needed to snooze. However, what made these sugary foods so well liked? Well, we didn't know as much about the negative health effects of sugar in the 1970s as we do now. These recipes also gave a touch of sweetness that many people desired and were simple to prepare. During the holidays, they came to represent luxury and coziness. Consider this. What Thanksgiving dish from the 1970s would have caused the greatest shortening of your family's lifespan? Although there are a number of candidates, these dishes with marshmallows on top are clearly in the running. These foods' high sugar content has been connected to higher risks of type 2 diabetes and heart disease. Research indicates that sugar-rich diets can cause insulin resistance, a precursor to diabetes. Regularly indulging in these incredibly delicious sides may eventually have detrimental effects on our health. Not surprisingly, these foods have mostly vanished from Thanksgiving menus nowadays. Are you familiar with fried food? A message from the 1970s would be welcome. What about a Thanksgiving turkey with half as many calories as usual, or wholesome vegetables that are as high in fat as a burger? The phrase, "everything's better deep fried," wasn't simply a catchphrase, it was a way of life during this decade. Moving from sweet to savory, we're diving right into the greasy realm of deep-fried foods from the 1970s. Was it cooking back then, if it wasn't boiling in hot oil? The headliner of the show, the turkey, was now dipped in a vat of sizzling oil instead of just being roasted. And veggies? They received the same treatment though. Desserts were not exempt from the fryer's grasp. Let's take a moment to discuss turkey. Because it promised juicier meat, deep frying an entire chicken became popular. However, that crispy skin was accompanied by a significant amount of oil. Compared to its oven-roasted relative, a slice of deep-fried turkey may have up to 50% more calories. We haven't even begun heaping on the sides yet. Speaking of sides, do you recall those strings of crispy onions? These tasty morsels ended up on everything from mashed potatoes to green bean casserole. They were delicious, crispy, and incredibly popular. However, the fact that a quarter cup of these fried onions contained as much fat as a small burger is a disturbing reminder. Just think about how many of those you would eat at a normal Thanksgiving dinner. What did all this deep frying produce? Meals throughout the holidays became true fat celebrations. It's no surprise that heart disease and obesity rates have increased in this period. Our bodies were suffering as a result of us effectively covering our festivities in a thick layer of oil. However, what first caused this movement to gain traction? Well, cooking became much more convenient in the 1970s. In addition to being quick and simple, deep frying, let's face it, improved the flavor of everything. Foods that are golden brown and crispy are irresistible. The issue was that we were forgoing nutrition in favor of convenience and taste. The deep frying procedure wasn't limited to the main courses. Desserts, sides, and appetizers were all up for grabs. Imagine biting into a mozzarella stick with a crispy shell, or a pickle that has been deep fried. Delicious? Definitely. Well, not at all. The next time you're thinking back on your grandmother's Thanksgiving spread, keep in mind that although it may have been tasty, it was also a health risk. Some people from that generation may not have lived as long as we do now because of those oily, crunchy foods. Jell-O salads were the chameleons of Thanksgiving dinners in the 1970s, ranging from salty to sweet, and suspended in a rainbow of artificial hues. The worst part is that these shaky wonders frequently took the place of real vegetables. Are you prepared to learn how our health may have been negatively impacted by this seemingly harmless side dish all along? Greetings from the bizarre world of Jell-O salads, where fruits, vegetables, and occasionally even meat float in a sea of gelatin. Every Thanksgiving table in the 1970s included these vibrant sculptures, which gave holiday spreads a whimsical touch. However, despite their whimsical appearance, these weren't merely oddball treats. Unbelievably, they were seen as salads and frequently substituted for more nutritious vegetable selections. Let's examine a typical Jell-O salad from that era in more detail. We're talking about a rainbow of food coloring, a symphony of artificial flavors, and frequently a significant amount of sugar or artificial sweeteners. It was like to eating a side dish that was actually a chemical experiment. But hold on, things get even more fascinating. These salads became jiggled sugar cubes loaded with calories when several recipes called for mayonnaise or cream cheese. Now get ready for this startling realization. These gelatin masterpieces might easily have 300–400 calories per serving. It was on your plate, posing as a nutritious side dish, but it was about equivalent to a slice of pie. If folks realized they were basically having dessert with their turkey, can you imagine how surprised they would be? The effects of these Jell-O salads were far from positive in the long run. Over time, these gelatin mixtures probably led to a rise in sugar consumption and nutritional deficits. After all, you're probably not getting the vitamins and minerals your body needs when you're stuffing yourself with shaky, chemically sweetened salads. The problem is that these weren't sporadic indulgences. In the 1970s, Jell-O salads were a mainstay at every potluck and holiday meal for many households. They were as ubiquitous as green beans or mashed potatoes. Imagine Thanksgiving tables all around America with a couple of these jiggly sculptures in a variety of colors and forms. Other health issues were brought up by these salads' usage of artificial sweeteners and food coloring. Contrary to what many likely believed they were doing by selecting a salad, studies have revealed that artificial sweeteners can cause metabolic abnormalities and possibly contribute to weight gain. And those vivid hues? Certain food dyes have been connected to various health problems, including children's hyperactivity. Therefore, keep in mind that not everything was as innocent as it seemed the next time you're missing the good old days. Even while those vibrant, shaky Jell-O salads appeared festive and enjoyable, they were subtly causing a number of health problems. Not surprisingly, they have mostly vanished from our holiday tables. Did you believe that the only bad food choices from the 1970s were Jell-O salads? We're going to go into the rich, delicious realm of casseroles, so fasten your seatbelts. Have you ever pondered how a single portion of your favorite Thanksgiving side dish might have as much saturated fat as a fast food burger? You may be surprised by the response. Casseroles, the quintessential 1970s comfort food. A Thanksgiving dinner mainstay were these boiling plates of delight. However, there was a cost to that comfort, and it was frequently your health. What is the hidden ingredient in the majority of these dishes? Saturated fats and sodium are abundant in canned cream soups. Let's examine the traditional green bean casserole in more detail. With its combination of crunchy onions and green beans, this popular side dish may appear harmless enough. The worst part is that one serving may provide as much as 40% of your daily allowance of salt. One scoop is about half of your daily allotment. However, we had to be concerned about more than simply salt. The trifecta of heart-harming ingredients found in these casseroles was frequently butter, fried onions, and processed cheese. Every one of these components contributed a unique set of issues. Processed cheese increased saturated fat and salt levels even further. We're talking about those crunchy fried onions, right? In essence, these were tiny fat bombs. We are all aware of the negative impact butter has on our waistlines. Here's a startling fact that might make you think twice about that second helping. A typical serving of these creamy casseroles could contain as much saturated fat as a fast food burger. Imagine eating something that looks healthy and homemade, but it has the same greasy punch as meals from the drive-thru. This high-fat, high-sodium diet probably caused some major health problems over time. We are discussing elevated incidences of heart disease and hypertension. It's no wonder our parents' generation started seeing more health problems as they aged. But here's the real kicker. Many people saw these dishes as healthier alternatives because they contained vegetables. Is it not unbelievable? Just because there were some green beans or carrots mixed in, folks thought they were making a good choice. It's like thinking you're eating healthy because you put a slice of tomato on your cheeseburger. As we wrap up our tour through the casserole landscape of the 70s, let's take a moment to reflect. These dishes were more than just food. They were a part of our culture, our family gatherings, our memories. But they also shaped our health, and not always for the better. It's a stark reminder of how our eating habits can impact our lives and our lifespans in ways we might not realize until years later.